Welkom terug hier by die Groot Ontbyt. Baie dankie Elsa vir daai nuushooftrekke. Saam met ons in die ateljee nou, ongelooflik, I'm so excited. The drummer for Toto, he played drums for Jeff Beck, Gary Moore, Jeff Beck, Mike Oldfield, Judas Priest, Tears for Fears. Okay, that's what happens when you Google Simon Phillips. We've got a different
You did your
here.
research, but
yes,
sorry to
I
say,
was like,
it's not proper
Simon
research.
Phillips. I'm like, what? Simon Phillips? I can't believe Simon Phillips is going to be...
Riddles for days.
It's very difficult to get you on the internet because there's a lot of Simon Phillips. But I like Simon Says, and then I got you.
Yeah, common childhood game, and then copy paste, and we've got a winner. Yeah,
Got a winner.
So my rhythm sucks, but no, great band though.
I got
Africa is the only thing that I have in common with Simon Phillips of Toto. Yeah.
So ek gaan net vir jou skinder in Afrikaans. I'm going to gossip about you. Vir jou wat ingeskakel het. Simon, ons gaan gesels oor Simon Says communication and motivation. Hy het 'n ongelooflike storie en ek dink jy gaan moet gemotiveerd wees veral in die tyd waarin ons bly. So especially 2019, 2018, everyone's depressed. It's been people are not happy, and so it's great to have someone like you because I listened to some of your videos and I felt better yesterday afternoon immediately. So let's just go back before we get to motivation and what you do for a living. Grew up in Zim.
In Zim.
And in school there.
School there, so yeah, from Zim, born and raised, till I was 18. The closest we came to South Africa was coming on holiday every 2 years in the Datsun 120Y. And the biggest treat of our life was to come over the border and then the next morning switch on SA TV and watch Body Beat Boys for a while. And then the famous words, and I'm so glad I can say it now, is Goeiemorgen, South Africa. I watched it for years and now I can say it. So yeah, so from Zim and then moved over to Pretoria when I was 18, and I enrolled in the Technicon Pretoria at the time. Walked into res there, not knowing a word of Afrikaans, and was promptly put with 300 Afrikaans khaki-wearing men. And the lads asked my folks, they said, ma'am and sir, do you mind if your son is in a mixed house? So my parents said, with girls? I said, no, with black people. And so I was like, they were like, no, man, look, Zimmers, we walked that path, man. So I moved into the only mixed house in the res, and and from there, the first year was tough, I hated it so much, I told myself 5 things. I said, number 1, I'll never come back to Pretoria after this little stint of academia. Number 2, Afrikaans chicks, never. I mean, I got so much bet. It was like De Villiers IPL, 6 runs every time Afrikaans chicks.
But you won at the end.
I'm telling you, you won't believe it. Number 3, Blue Bulls, couldn't stand them. We'd go to Loftus every Saturday night and the whole course would paint themselves blue. The only thing is the Afrikaans lads would get water-based paint. The Soti would get oil-based paint. So for the next 3 days or so, my blood really was blue. And then fourthly, I said, you know what? Afrikaans music and Afrikaans chaps in general, they can take a leap. Long story short, number 1, have never left the country for 18 odd years. Number 2, I married Hester Geminer Meyer.
proper.
And I worked with the Bulls, many of them. Thirdly, and then an old Robbie Wessels was one of my groomsmen at my wedding. So that's what I think.
So
The most Afrikaans man on earth and the music in a nutshell.
But
so
there were some tough times.
Massively so, yeah.
What happened there?
So what happened is, I went through, I think, where a lot of us go, and we might be there today in our lives, identity crisis. The Zim economy was failing. The Bucks as a family was going downhill, and me being a trots man, I wanted to sort of make it on my own. And so, I made a few silly decisions economically, and also just trying to find who I was. My parents, I come from a fantastic religious, faith-filled home, but I don't think it was really mine. And so, after a few wonky years, I ended up and I found myself sleeping. I was homeless, and for about a good 8 months, I slept at Tux at the stadium at Elsa de Villiers, in Lucy number 2.
Serious? Yeah. Did you sneak in at night?
Well, I think you become gewoond in a place, and people just accept that you're there with the right confidence. But I showered downstairs in the little showers. I ate with the waiters at the high performance center, and generally fought a big battle with God. I didn't like him at all, and felt sorry for myself, and just a real became a boomy of mind and spirit, which is the main thing. The physical really it was tough, but I started to actually find God for myself, and not because he was my folks' savior. It had to become my thing, my identity. And my path went from there. I mean, I can keep going, but after about a few months of lurking in that field, the Springbok under 21 team at the time were old Chili Boy Lapele and the year of Pierce Spies and them and Jake White, they were in camp for the World Cup. And then I would, in the evenings, I had nothing to do. So I would just do my little exercise on the field, and I'd push A-frames and do pull-ups. And these guys were in res in camp for the World Cup. And then a few of them would come past and say, hey, man, this is in the days before CrossFit. Can we join you, man? You're doing some interesting boot camp type stuff. And so they did join me. And that led to me working with so many of them, in their careers and their sport and fitness, and forming amazing friendships. And then a few of them said, hey, listen, man, I've got a sister. She's got to lose a bit of weight for a denier. Can she come? And then within a few years, I had a good 500 plus clients in my boot camp, in my field there. A lot of the time not knowing, they didn't know that. How come you're always so early, Simon? Just living upstairs.
You're always early.
It's a short hop and skip, yeah.
And from there, okay, but we must just talk to Chili Boy with the substances. But I'm not joking.
No, he's all good. No.
He's all good.
I supplied him. No.
Yeah. And it's just amazing. I mean, from there, thinking where you were to working with big corporate companies,
yes.
Motivating people, changing people's minds. Have you ever thought it would happen? Was it a surprise for you? Are you just amazed looking back?
I think it's grace. What happened from there, it didn't, I mean, I finished my course, and that's fantastic. But the big thing that happened is, I think I also went through a time where I tried to catch up on parts of my life that I had no identity. So I went massive into the jawling. I really made jobs don't shine. And from there, I long story short, I got caught up in strip clubs. I then went on to substances. And it's something a lot of people are hearing me who know me today, and it's a lot of surprise for a lot of people to hear this. But yeah, the truth sets free. But I lived the life of lies just to prop up and to sort of try and make an identity for myself. So I ended up taking a lot of drugs. I sold a lot. I had a lot of injuries inflicted on me. And it does end well, but I'll continue that just now.
But your passion for sports or for fitness, was it something that's always been part of your life, or was it actually just, part of your situation at that stage where you just saw an opportunity and then ran with it?
Well, coming from Zim, we don't have much else to do apart from play sport hard. So it's always been there. I think if I look back at my life, I should have done journalism, but the academia at the time wasn't adding up. So I moved into sports science thinking it's going to be, hey, how to kick a torpedo. Got there day one, they're like stats, bio, oh my word, threw me a bit. But it has always been part of my makeup. Okay. The thing being that then I started echoing all my identity came through my body and gymming and taking stuff. And that became me, the Simon, the big buff Simon. And I love sport, it's fantastic. But I'm a trainer, I've got lots of clients, but it's a part of my life. It's not my whole life anymore. And I think, that's what I'm here to sort of to sing about, yeah.
So this one of our listeners or viewers said that he asked, listen, Peter Boysen from Klerksdorp. He said, can't we just make 8th of May, and that's election day, also a day to pray for the country? And advertise it like that. Yeah. And it's so funny because, we made a joke, an April Fool's joke, just on Monday. But seeing reactions when people get mad, seeing the unhappiness in this country when it comes to cultures and languages, and people just don't like each other. And it was amazing. And then the cyclone, and I saw a small clip that you said yesterday that for me was amazing. About cyclones, shootings, load sheddings, where's the joy?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Romans 12, verse 15. I want you to share that. So
I think even just sitting downstairs before this, reading the paper, things jump out at you. It's just flipping murder, rape, elections, corruption. But it's attractive to read. That's the thing. That's the stories that get us going. And the reason I started this Simon Says communication page is because my wife and I sat one Sunday, and when you hear that carte blanche, well, the little jingle, great, but the weekend's over, number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, depression is coming upon me. But we almost want to watch it. We want to partake in
this bad stuff.
And then we go from there, we go to Braai's on a Friday. The girls all push off to the salad bar and gossip about their dudes. The men go around the braai and say not really anything apart from how crappy is the biz. And we end up and we get back in the car at the end of the evening, and that just starts the flavor for the week. It's this dichotomy of there's no hope, and people just want to dwell on the nonsense. And I mean, I come from Zim, man. You can't beat us. We've been there, done that. We're looking good here. And in Zim, it took a lot of nonsense for a nation to get on their knees. And those churches are still full in Zim. So what is God's call here? I mean, no one said it's going to be easy, but God is always good. And that has been my victory cry. And you can't dispute it with my life, with how far I've come, and through him. Not by my might at all.
Yes.
Total grace. And it's when I was at the lowest of the low that I heard his still small voice. And there's hope, man.
That's what you said. And to get the balance to, you were marrying someone and said, but today I'm joyous with people that's joyous. I share the joy, and I grieve with people that grieve. And it brought me a balance. How to face all these bad stuff. Where can people book you? Because you work corporate. We were preaching a bit now, but I mean, you work with corporates,
yes,
and it's really motivational. Where can people get a hold of you?
So I'm Simon Says Communication. My cell phone number, 081-218-1494. And and I've just got a passion for people, for marriage. My wife and I, we love marriage. We fought some hard battles, but those scars only push us forward. And the big thing is I know that we meet each other, my spouse and I, at our point of honesty, but mainly God meets us at our point of honesty. So that is my new victory call. And yeah, people can book me. I'm an MC. I marry people, but my main thing is to motivate and bring hope. Schools, men, marriages, that's what I do, is to bring fresh air. And that's what we're called to do, with the salt and the light. So that's our mandate. I'm going to keep doing it, yeah.
Simon, it was a privilege having you here, and I think we motivate everyone today to go check out Romans 12. Just a whole chapter is fantastic.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for visiting us.
It's a real pleasure.
Great stuff.
Welkom by die Groot Ontbyt se YouTube kanaal. As jy dit nog nie gedoen het nie, maak seker jy teken aan deur op die rooi subscribe knoppie te klik. Maar vir meer video's soos die kan jy ook gaan na die playlist opsie. Maak intussen ook seker jy kom daagliks terug na die platform toe, want ons maak seker ons hou jou nuuskierig en op hoogte van sake met daaglikse byvoegings.